And welcome. Today we will be looking at elasticities. Now what elasticities is something that we looked at actually a little bit in our previous chapters. So if you can remember with regards to demand and supply, we said we have price and quantity, and we have demand, and we have supplied, and then we established equilibrium price and equilibrium quantity. Now let's say there is a change in demand due to one of the determinants that shifted. That resulted, as we saw in the previous videos, in a change in price. It increased as a result, it increased prices and increased quantity supplied. Now what we're going to do in the elasticity chapter is we're going to look how sensitive consumers and producers are to that change in price that occurred. So we're going to look at elasticities. So what is elasticities? It is the percentage change in one variable if the relevant other variable changes with 1%. So if there is a change in prices of the one, what is the effect? So that is what we're going to look at with regards to elasticities. So in any kind of elasticity scenario, there is 4 types of elasticities. You have price elasticity of demand, price elasticity of supply, then you have cross price elasticity, and then you have price elasticity of your income. So that is with the 4 types. Now with regards to demand and supply, there is 5 categories for each of those 2 elasticities. So it doesn't matter if you are working with demand or supply, the principles stays the same. So for the video purposes, we're going to have a look at demand. So the first type is perfect elastic. So what perfect elastic is you have price on your x-axis, Q on your y-axis, and then you have your demand curve or your supply curve, doesn't matter. Remember, the principle stays the same, your demand curve, and it runs horizontally because it means that your producer or your consumer is extremely sensitive for price changes. So even a small change in price will result that your quantity will drop to 0. Right. So the other one is your perfect inelastic curve. Again, doesn't matter, demand or supply. And it is totally vertical. This means that your producer or your consumer, in this case, because we're working with demand, your consumer is extremely insensitive for price changes. So it doesn't matter what is the price of the product, they will still buy the product. For example, insulin. If you are a diabetic and you have to make use of insulin, it doesn't matter what the price is for insulin, you're going to buy it because you need it to survive. The next one is unitary elasticity. So again, demand. You can use supply as well. It is the same principle. This means that the percentage change in your price equals the percentage change in your quantity, and that's why your elasticity coefficient will be 1. With regards to your relative elastic demand or supply, demand okay, let's draw it a little bit flatter so you can see the effect more. I think it will be better. So you can see the difference between price and quantity a bit more clearer. Right, so it's almost perfect elastic. So you need to draw it a little bit more flat. There we go. You will see the change better. There we go. So you will see that the change in price is smaller than the change in quantity. So even if there's a small change in price, it will result in a big change in quantity. So that is your relative elastic curve, and that will be always, your coefficient will be greater than 1. The next one is relative inelastic. So it's almost straight up. And this is where the change in price is greater than the percentage change in quantity demanded. And your coefficient will lie between 0 and 1. So even if there's a big change in your prices, it will result in a small effect on your quantity. So in the next video, we will look at an example.